patrons? We're here.
What up?
We've made it.
We made it. We finished Fosse Verdon. We did it. You all thought it wouldn't be possible. You said we couldn't do it because we gave up on Glee, but
This is the first show we've ever finished, guys.
we did
All
it.
8 episodes. And unlike Glee, we missed many weeks of this. We were not consistent in getting this out at all. Thanks, Andrew.
Hey, you know what, though? We got fucking through it, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this is it. Providence is the episode title. And Andrew, tell us what happens in this episode. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty solid conclusion to everything. All the characters die, except for the daughter. But, you know, I think it's good. So they're going to do, the Chicago tour is going to happen. And Ron leaves Gwen because of that. Because he's sick of being in a three-way relationship with Bob Fosse. Which, you know what? I don't blame him. I don't blame him. He deserved better. He really did. He was a good guy, I think.
I think both him and Anne both deserve better. Maybe they deserved each other.
I don't know if they deserved each other, but they definitely deserved better. And I think they both ended up with better, was the implication.
Well, Anne kind of never got over Bob and is still coasting off of her relationship with Bob Fosse to this day, which, good.
You know what?
It's not a bad thing.
Someone should make money off of Bob Fosse's corpse. I don't give a shit.
I mean, Tommy Kail is with this series, and so far it's made a lot of money, apparently.
Can't wait for season 2 when they
Resurrect
it's just footage of his grave. That's
Bob Fosse, and it's just Fosse Verdon, and they're side-by-side graves. I don't know if they were buried together, honestly.
But so she ends up doing the Chicago tour, which the reason Ron leaves is because they were initially talking about moving out of New York,
city.
Which I think Ron took as moving away from Bob Fosse, and she was actually just talking about leaving the city
For a bit, yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, when that fell through, Ron's like, yeah, we're never leaving Bob Fosse, are we? I'm out of here. I'm outie.
And I don't blame him.
No, you can't blame him. Bob also was kind of a dick to his daughter quite a bit.
I mean, explain. All parents are kind of dicks to their kids. Everyone's bad at being a parent. And if you think you're good, then you're definitely bad at being a parent.
Yeah. Well, he was just I mean, she was obviously doing drugs and drinking and all sorts of stuff, which I'm not fully sure how old she's supposed to be in this.
She's supposed to be like early teenagers, like 16, 17.
Yeah. So I guess maybe he wasn't being a total dick, but
I think he was just being absent, doing his thing. Another woman that gets hurt by him wanting to do his own thing.
Yep. I also think the whole concept of him making that the movie All That Jazz, like the movie itself is good.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Imagine being like her or Gwen or Annie or any of these people, and he's making a fictionalized version of his own life, and you're one of the characters in it. Like,
imagine having to audition for the role that is literally based on you.
Did she end up playing the part?
Yeah, she did.
Oh my god.
But imagine having to audition for that.
Yeah. And of course, I'm sure he wrote a lot of the dialogue for that character. And who knows how she felt about the things she was made to say about him, essentially.
I mean, you've seen the movie, kind of.
Yeah, I've seen it.
How do you think they're represented in that? The Gwen Verdon equivalent and the Anne Reinking equivalent?
I mean, I don't think they're representative in like a very negative light or anything like that. I think that they are represented in a way that is very Bob-centric, though, obviously. So,
but I also think Bob Fosse can't help but hate himself, like as said in that opening scene with him and Patty Chayefsky,
which is like maybe the best scene in the show, in my opinion.
I'm not gonna lie, in that scene, like in the times that you and I have written stuff together, it felt very much like the conversations you and I have when trying to suss out a story.
I really think Patty is my favorite character in the show.
You felt so sad when he died?
I actually did feel a little sad. I was like, damn, I didn't expect him to be the first to go, you know?
No one did. No one, especially not Bob.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And Bob does his dance on his grave, which is a little weird.
That's great. And he actually did that in real life.
I mean, I get it, though, because that's his whole thing, so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean.
They had a very strangely bro-antagonistic relationship.
I think that they were real friends, though, I think.
Oh, yeah. He let him take care of his daughter and maybe molest her. Who knows?
Also, I mean, I doubt he molested her, but...
No, Patty Chayefsky did not molest children.
No. Patty was a saint. St. Patty's Day is named after him.
Patty Chayefsky, yeah.
No, but like his whole criticism of like your stories all have garbage endings because
yes,
like it's great, and I feel like I'm trying to remember all that jazz, but he took it to heart, kind of. If that conversation really happened, that is how he ends all that jazz. So
I mean, he planned to end it with him dying anyways. He doesn't change. He doesn't really learn a lesson. I think all that jazz is pretty self-indulgent, and I'm saying this as someone who calls it their favorite film, which it is. It is literally my favorite film of all time, and it is a self-indulgent self-jerk-off session.
I think Patty's absolutely right, though. You have to have a character arc. That's really stupid.
You don't have to have a character arc, but if you don't have a character arc, you better have a damn good reason, and I don't think Bob did.
Bob's reason is just that it's not realistic to have a character arc, which that's never a good argument for a story.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I think Cabaret kind of works, and the point of that is that there is no character arc for Sally, and that is the driving point, is she is the same person with Nazis and without Nazis, and that's a problem. And that is the message of Cabaret.
Yeah, so if there's a purpose to it, and that almost is the character arc, like you're expecting there to be some sort of arc and then there isn't, and that kind of is the character arc.
Yes, and it's the film arc. Like the arc is for the audience at that point, which is a way that storytelling has worked in the past.
Yeah. But you have to have
all that
something.
Jazz doesn't quite do that, but I think it still works despite it.
I think it kind of tries to a little bit, but it doesn't totally work. I think the movie was pretty good, though.
Yes, and we'll do an episode on all that jazz one day. We've discussed it, like, we thought about doing it for Patreon, but I think it's good enough for a full episode one of these days.
We've covered musical movies before, and I think that we should continue to, because honestly, it kind of appeals to the people we're trying to reach, which is people that aren't 100% theater nerds. So
the thing, I get that, though, and when we early started this podcast, I really wanted to do everything to show that we could do anything early on. We wanted to set that as a precedent, so even though we might not do it for a good period, we always have that precedent set.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the smarter things we did early on with this show is
we didn't stick ourselves into a corner and be like, we only do Broadway shows. If it wasn't on Broadway, then we're not going to talk about it. You know, like we don't do that kind of thing.
But honestly, a lot of stuff like The Greatest Showman, I don't really think would be that interesting an episode to do.
That's something
it has to be interesting to talk about.
That would be something I consider as like a Patreon commentary. Like it's just not interesting enough to be a full. Although in real life though, I have gotten a lot of people tell me that when I bring up like, hey, I do a podcast, and they're like, what's it about? Oh, it's about musicals. They're like, what's your favorite? And I tell them whatever the fuck is the thing we did that week. And then
the Addams Family musical.
I Am Uncle Fester. And then they tell me that their favorite musical is The Greatest Showman, and I'm like,
that movie is so bad though, is the problem.
I almost feel like we should cover it because I've gotten that in real life so many times. I've gotten that's my favorite musical. Like I feel like that's almost enough of a reason to cover it, just because there are a lot of people out there that are like, this is my favorite musical.
it's not good. It's not good. I don't understand why people love it so much.
I haven't seen it. I've heard some of the soundtrack, and it doesn't nothing is like offensive in it to me. Like, it doesn't sound horrible. It sounds very poppy to me. It doesn't sound like a classic theater, but a lot of musicals don't sound like classic theater, so.
Let me say this. The songs and musical numbers are not the problem with that. With those musical numbers and those songs, you could make a good movie. And anytime a song number is happening, it's great. Everything else is such garbage.
I'd like to see it. I don't know if we do an episode on it. I don't know if we do a commentary on it, but I would be interested in watching it at some point.
I feel like that's a good one to have a guest on that might have a lot to say.
Yeah, maybe if we can find somebody who's involved in the production or just very opinionated.
Hugh Jackman himself.
Dude, if we could get Hugh Jackman on here and we talk about all the shit he's been in.
Yo, so you're friends with Ivanka and Jared. Let's talk about that.
Oh, boy.
You went full Cusco there.
Oh, boy. Oh, okay. So, Patty dies. That's very sad. Patty was a great character. Loved it. Nicole gets into drugs, and then Bob basically admits that his career is over by directing the Sweet Charity Revival.
Well, he's very successful and like did all his things. He just tried to consult on it, and then he's like, "You're doing it all wrong. Let me get in there."
Yeah, it's a shame too. That's the last thing he ever did.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I don't love Sweet Charity. Like, I know a lot of people do. We will do it one day. In fact, Ben has requested to be on the episode that we do Sweet Charity.
He played in the pit for a production of it, and that's why he wants to. He wants to be involved.
Ben is Andrew's friend and bandmates.
Real friends, yes. Yeah.
It's not like if we brought Ben on, he would give us the numbers boost that every time we get Brent on or something.
No. He would give us... honestly, we might see negative numbers.
Which isn't bad. You can't win them all. You can't win every week. Not every week can be Hamilton.
It's true, but if it could be, we would be doing Hamilton every week.
Oh yeah, there is actually a full podcast called the Hamilcast where they just talk about Hamilton every week.
God, what else is there to say? I feel like we did a pretty long episode on that, but I feel like we've said everything we needed to say.
I think that Hamilton only works as an episode for us after we've done a bunch of musicals. Like if that was our first episode, it wouldn't have worked.
I think if you're going to do a full podcast, and they might do this, if you're going to do a full podcast on Hamilton, you have to go more in depth than just talking about the show, and you have to talk about the history, and you have to talk about...
They talk mostly about the actors and the history behind like making the show, but not about the history of life, which I find boring. Here's the controversial opinion I have about Broadway podcast and a lot of other podcasts on our network, and since this is Patreon... Which
are all fantastic, of course.
That's going to contradict exactly what I'm going to say. Yep. I don't find the interworkings of Broadway particularly interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like how there's like people that are in movies talk about the behind the scenes of movies, and it's just like not always the most interesting thing.
I think that has a bit more, but Broadway is like these middling people that all went to the same school, like that are just like, oh, I just live with my family in an apartment in New York, and we 8 shows a week, and they all have the same story. You heard one Broadway, I got on stage this way, you've heard them all.
Yeah.
And that's why I find it much more interesting, like Mama's Talking Loud, which is a podcast on the Broadway Podcast Network, where it's like they bring in mothers who are also Broadway stars and ask them how they deal with both of them. That's at least a premise. And it's not just Broadway stars tell us about being Broadway stars.
Well, yeah, but that's how media is. I mean, there's a lot of content out there about just talking to celebrities about what it's like to be a celebrity, and people love that shit. We don't do that.
We definitely
honestly
do not.
I have seen so many Broadway shows. If I actually gave a fuck, I would know about these celebrities by now. The reason I don't is because I really don't care. I really don't care.
Yeah, I bet you didn't even know Brent had an off-Broadway musical reviewed by Ben Brantley.
I knew about his Star Trek one, but I did not know about a different one that he did, apparently.
Yeah, that was when he got right out of college, and I read the review, and it is pretty kindly scathing, as he said, and I think it's the best way to say it.
Which is surprising, but although it wasn't a Broadway show, so he probably went easy on it.
Yeah, but next week, we're covering Avenue Q, or at least we're recording the episode on it next week.
And I hear that one hasn't aged well as far as humor.
It hasn't. But I'm bringing it up because there was a documentary about that Tony season, about that, Wicked, and Caroline or Change, and another musical called Taboo, all coming out and all competing for the best musical Tony and like all those Tonys. And
yeah.
Who do you think won, like, based on that list? Because we've covered 3 out of those 4, and I think you can rule 1 out.
Caroline or Change, I don't think won at all. I mean, what was the other ones? It was Wicked, Avenue Q. I feel like Wicked won, but maybe not.
Avenue Q won, and it's interesting because
it's similar to like Book of Mormon winning, I guess, but it's weird that it's up against a Broadway favorite. So.
Well, the thing is, Wicked got shitty reviews, like god-awful reviews. New York Times and all that tore that musical apart. They hated it. And I wish I had highlighted that more back when we did our Wicked episode. But
we got to do some like revisits. Like,
well, we got one coming up in December that I'm a little excited about. Just
I think what we should consider though is doing like a 4-part revisit where we just cover, like, we do like brief revisits of a couple different shows.
I think so, but there's 1 or 2 where it's like, all right, full episode, we talking about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have to do like the big ones, Dear Evan Hansen, Rent.
Well, the thing about Dear Evan Hansen, we're going to be getting that opportunity when we get the movie next year, so that's like a good opportunity to revisit it. Rent, we're doing this December. We're doing that literally in a month or 2.
Yeah, I mean, we have to go back because we were pretty new and maybe a little overly harsh in our early episodes. I'm not fully sure I'm gonna change my mind, but I am gonna try to.
I will say Andrew did try his best to go in with the most open mind to Rent. That was probably the most he's ever tried to go in with an open mind.
You make it seem like I don't try to go in with an open mind. I usually do. I really do. But
I know you do. But either way, so Avenue Q won Best Musical because it campaigned for it and sent out like promotional posters like "Vote for Your Heart," what musical affected you, to everyone that was voting. Like, they put posters all over, they sent flyers, they invited them out to dinner. And because of that, the Tony Commission now made a rule that Broadway shows are no longer allowed to campaign.
Really?
Yes.
That's pretty funny.
Yes. And I don't love Avenue Q, to be honest.
I mean, I've heard a few songs from it. Some of them are funny. Some of them, I listen to, like, there's one about internet porn. That one's pretty funny.
I mean, yes, but that's not like really hilarious, a plot song. That's like
it's kind of funny.
Distract you for a bit song. Because the plot is actually relatively, like, much like Book of Mormon, it tries to have a heart. And that part actually works for me because it's all about, like, what do you do after you graduate college and you thought you had all this big future and you don't, and you're just going to be a failure like everyone else. That is the plot. But then they throw porn jokes and George Bush jokes and Gary Coleman jokes, and it's like, I like this, what you're doing here, much better. Yeah.
But some of like, I didn't even know there was a George Bush jokes, or like, that shit doesn't age well. That does not age.
It's very early 2000s type of humor. It's like shitty South Park, you know, like early 2000s South Park, where it's just like, but
I mean, South Park hasn't gotten a huge amount better.
South Park has changed into, I feel like they are more responsible with their voice lately.
A little bit. I think they're more clear about their voice lately. I mean, they definitely take like a hardline centrist perspective, which I don't actually like.
I don't like that either.
Generally, the centrist perspective is just the right-wing perspective, but with a bit of like, but the right's sometimes wrong too. I'm not gonna like qualify that. I'm not gonna say when they're wrong, but I think they are sometimes wrong.
The thing is, left wings control more things, and when you're trying to be counterculture, it's not cool to be like align yourself with the person that controls a lot of media.
Liberals control lots of things. There is no real leftist media, in my opinion.
Imagine if we had a leftist Fox News.
It does not exist. There's a lot of liberal, and liberals are incredibly uncool. Almost as uncool as conservatives. So I understand why you want to be like edgy, and I think if you want to be edgy, the centrist or libertarian perspective is the way to go, which is what South Park generally does. If you want to get funding, but if you want to be actually funny, the leftist is the way to go. But no one's gonna fund you to make that project. So
nope. So this is our last recording session. This is the last time I'm going to be looking Andrew in the eyes before we find out who wins the election.
We're all dead.
Yes, before the Civil War has started.
I mean, it's not entirely true. There is a possibility that when we record next Wednesday, we still won't know who won.
Yes, that is fair. It's terrifying, but it's
well.
fair.
Here's basically the thing. If Biden wins Florida, which we should know on Election Day, it's pretty much over. Trump basically can't win without Florida. It's incredibly unlikely.
But Biden can't win without Pennsylvania or Michigan. Like Michigan and Pennsylvania, Biden can't win without either of those.
If he takes Florida, he can.
I don't think so.
I do.
He just went down 8 points, Biden did, in Michigan. He went from 16 to 8 points ahead just today.
Oh, man. That's still a pretty big lead.
But I'm considering all this with the same polling error that Hillary had in 2016, which is 5 points, roughly, in each state.
Yeah, so he'd still have a 3-point lead even with that error.
I don't know. The thing...
People are really freaking out because, oh my god, the polls were wrong in 2016. The polls weren't wrong in 2016. They really weren't. Like, the polls were pretty accurate. The polls don't... Like, the pollsters were wrong. The people that were writing articles looking at the polls saying, oh my god, Clinton is guaranteed 100% to win. There's no chance whatsoever. They were wrong. But the polls themselves were actually pretty accurate.
Do you remember a week before Hillary lost, she bought like fireworks to shoot up and spell her for when she won?
Okay,
Hubris.
I'm not going to say that I'm glad she didn't. I'm not going to say I'm glad she didn't win, but like if it wasn't Trump that beat her, I would be glad she didn't win because I really don't like her.
She wasn't the best candidate in the world. Like I wouldn't even say
she was bad. She was a bad candidate.
But the problem is she was the only candidate. We had her and Bernie, and everyone wanted Bernie.
Yeah.
Those were the two we had.
Yeah, and the Dems stole it from us.
Yes, they did. No lie there.
I still don't really forgive them for it, but, I have to vote for them because there is no ranked choice voting or any method to get their parties in.
I think that was some bullshit. I do not believe the primaries for this one was...
No, the primaries for this one were fine.
They were legit.
They were legit. I do think that our primary system kind of sucks in general because it kind of has this snowball effect. Like everyone was like, man, I think Bernie's going to do really well. And then Biden wins a single state and the entire media just goes, well, it's over. Biden wins the whole thing. And then everyone's just like, well, I guess I heard Biden wins, so I'm just going to vote for him, I guess.
Well, no, it was
I have a friend
Buttigieg wins.
Well, he just declared himself the winner. I have a friend in Connecticut who literally didn't even get to vote in the primary until after Biden already declared himself the winner at the convention. It's like how is that fair? Like, why not just have all the primaries at the same time, right? And see who people actually want, and not just who people are like, man, this guy's the most electable because look at how he did in these states before my state. Fuck
I have
that.
a question. Do you think if Biden literally gets landslide, 348 electoral votes,
yeah,
would Trump call to concede? Or would he even concede?
Trump will never concede.
Never. What happens?
I think he might leave. I don't think he's ever gonna say like I lost fair and square or anything like that. I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
Do you think he'll ever actually go to jail for like the crimes he committed?
You serious?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. No one ever will. Man, even
Dick Cheney's walking the streets and he shot a man in the face.
yeah, dude. It's not even politicians. Like, if you have a certain amount of money, you will never see the inside of a prison cell.
But Harvey Weinstein.
Oh my god, but Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein got dragged to prison by like 500 people, and I honestly, I don't think he's even going to stay there. I really don't. How long do you think until he gets out?
Bill Cosby. Jeffrey Epstein, kind of.
Jeffrey Epstein is dead.
He was in jail first.
What is Jeffrey Epstein? What was he in prison for? Because I think the only reason he was really in prison was because he betrayed all of the people that got him killed.
He betrayed Shiva.
Dude, no, it doesn't work that way, man. Don't work like that.
Well, the thing is, like, Kevin Spacey, I'm still amazed he's not in jail for something.
I mean, did we ever really get a real confirmation? Like,
no,
like hard
his accusers all
evidence,
died.
You know? Yeah, like, and yeah, that's terrible. But how do you put somebody in prison for that? You can't really prove it. I'm not saying that I think he didn't do it. I'm saying
no, he
that,
did
like,
it.
I'm saying that, like, how do you put him in prison if you don't have real proof? Because it sets a bad precedent. Like, yes, we in this one case we know he did it, but like, let's say someone accuses you of it and then they die, and it's like, oh well, do we put him in prison even though, you know?
I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying.
It's a tough call.
But also, Kevin Spacey did it.
Oh yeah, no, he did it.
There's physical evidence on camera that he did it.
Oh, I mean, if we have that, we should definitely put him through a trial. I don't understand.
Well, then
why
there's
that's
like,
not
well,
happening.
yeah, his hand's in his pants, but how do you know he didn't ask consent before doing it?
Yeah,
we don't have the audio.
It's true. That's the problem.
And then
with
he died. He was fucking killed.
Yeah, that's the problem with this shit. And really, it's a rich person problem. It really is. Like, how did that guy die? Like, come on. Does anyone really think that he just died? Like, come on.
I'm
like,
surprised that Ghislaine Maxwell
real.
or whatever, Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend, isn't dead yet.
She's not gonna say anything. That's why she's not dead yet.
Maybe. Do you think Epstein would have said something, or if he was just too big of a chance?
I think he was too big of a chance, or they knew that he was unreliable and he might say something.
Oof.
I don't know, man.
But in my opinion, Fosse Verdon really does kind of drop the ball in this last episode.
What do you think is the reason they dropped the ball? Because honestly, I don't mind the ending. I think it's fine.
The problem I have is it becomes a little bit too much like biopic-y in a way that it kind of avoided in the previous episodes.
Yeah, there's no fantasy sequences in this one.
Right. It's not as fun. It's not as stylized. It's just like, here's what happened and here's how he died. And now she lived with her daughter until the day she died. The end.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded a good fantasy sequence.
Imagine as he's dying on the streets of Sweet Charity, he's doing like a final dance number with Gwen. Wouldn't that have been a good ending?
Yeah. It's like just like La La Land, you know? Just as like a look of disgust on his face. I think it's a decent ending. I think they could have done better. They had the precedent that they can break the rules, and they decided not to in this case. And there was
no like real musical numbers in here. But Andrew, did you see a cameo from everyone's favorite Puerto Rican?
I feel like I did, but I don't remember what his name is.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, the star and composer of Hamilton.
He's Bob Fosse, right?
He played Roy Scheider, who is playing Joe Gideon, who is Bob Fosse.
Yeah. I was like, weird. I know who that is, but I can't remember his name.
That's Hamilton, really motherfucker.
This is how little I care. Like, I do not care about actors.
He is literally the most famous, like, Broadway performer at the moment.
Yeah, and
he's not even good.
I even recognized him, and I couldn't put my finger on a name.
They put him in whiteface, which is also very weird.
Whatever.
But then it's not even like offensive. It just looks weird.
It does look a little odd. But then, like, you know, you get that cool sequence where he runs through, he does it himself. And, of course, like, the look on his face after it's over when the director says, let's do the real one. And you're like, he's thinking to himself, that was the real one, you know?
That happened in real life. What do you think of the opening scene where he's dancing with his daughter?
Wait, which part was that?
It was like the scene where he's like practicing like dance moves for the movie, and he literally just steals the scene and puts it in the movie.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's cool, but it's more interesting when she reacts to the fact that it's going to be in the movie. Ugh.
What would you do in that situation? Like, you've never had it happen to you, which it's a weird, surreal experience.
You've had it happen?
I have.
Somebody made a movie about you?
No, but they took a conversation they had with me and literally transcribed it into dialogue into their film.
Oh man, what's a film?
It was like this weird like coffee diner thing, and it was literally just like a political discussion like you and I just had.
And then like you blurt out anyway, how's your sex life? And now that's in the movie.
It was like about the death and like whether euthanasia was good, and then they called it a film, and I was just embarrassed because it was a bad movie.
Yeah, I mean euthanasia. It depends on the context pretty heavily.
I think it should always be allowed. Yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
Well, I mean, yes, but it has to be at the consent of the person you're euthanizing. And
if I am no longer able to move my legs, like below my neck, I know this sounds a little ableist, but I want the option to, get out. I can't just throw myself off a fucking bridge.
You know the movie Johnny Got His Gun or something like that?
No.
The music video for and song for Metallica's One is based on it.
No,
Soldier
incredible.
everything that he has is no longer working. Like he can't see, he can't hear, he can't like feel anything. No, he can feel things. That's the only thing he can do. He can't see or hear or speak or anything like that. All he can do is feel things, and his legs and arms are both blown off, so he can't move, and he just wants to be dead. But no one will kill him. And he has no way to communicate that he wants to die either.
But wasn't that the thing with what was that bitch's name? Terry Schiavo?
Terry Schiavo? I'm not sure I know who that is.
Yeah, she was a vegetable, and the family wanted to euthanize her, and then... Am I thinking of the right person?
It's in those cases, I think there's a weird argument to be had.
Yes, Terry Schiavo had the right to die legal case.
Because we have no idea if the person that is vegetableized wants to be dead. So
right.
You might just be killing someone who wants to not die. You have no idea. So
for all my patrons, if I ever become a vegetable, just put me out of it.
Isn't there like a thing that you can do, like a do not resuscitate or something like that? And you can sign
DNR?
off on that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think they allow young people to do that. It's like vasectomies. You're not allowed to get one until you're of a certain age.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Fosse Verdon, fantastic wait. Bob Fosse, in the end, gets euthanized by God. He kills him, puts him out of his fucking misery because his career was over.
He won't hurt any more women now.
See, here's the thing, Bob Fosse said that when he directs a revival, that will be the end of his career. And right when the revival that he directed is about to air, he dies.
Yep, he never saw it.
Bob Fosse's career and life ended at the same time.
All right, Andrew. What was your overall thoughts on Fosse Verdon and your cheese rating? We made it to the end of the series.
We made it to the end. I actually quite enjoyed it. So much more than Glee. Like, it's not even on the same level. Like, it's you can't even describe the difference there. But beyond that, actually a really good show. If you guys haven't seen it, I don't know why the fuck you're still listening to this shit.
Yeah,
but
I feel like no one's listening to this shit because no one's seen it.
Yeah, go fucking watch it. It's on Hulu, which I think you can get a free trial of and probably binge the whole thing and then cancel that trial if you want. Or you may already have it because there's other good stuff on Hulu, I'm pretty sure. But
What You Do in the Shadows is there.
Yep. I've been watching the Eric Andre show, which is hilarious.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I'm so excited for the new season, but I'm sad that Hannibal Buress is only in like 2 episodes and then quits.
Yeah, I know. I'm curious as to why he quits, but I guess I don't know.
His literal reason in real life was Eric Andre asked him to come back for more. He's like, I'll do like 2 episodes, but then I'm done. I can't watch you shit on desks for the rest of my life. I'm almost 40.
Honestly though, that's something he would say in the show.
I love Hannibal Buress, and I don't think the show works without him. So honestly, I would have preferred like they go out for one last big season and just end it.
I don't know if the show will work if they don't find a different co-host. I don't think they can find. I mean, maybe they could find a co-host that is almost as funny or equally funny. I don't think they'll be able to find someone better.
No. and if they are finding someone else, they need someone insanely different from Hannibal Buress.
Yeah, you can't just have someone trying to imitate his shtick.
Yeah, bring in like Alana Glazer or something like that. Someone of a different energy. Not someone to meet Eric Andre's energy, though, but someone...
No. I mean, Eric Andre, that whole show it's the only anarchist show on TV.
The Judy Greer one where he like, I videoed my maid going to the bathroom. Oh, no, you didn't do that. Yeah, I did. Here's a video. Have you watched the new season?
No, not yet.
It's wonderful.
I love that there is like, oh my god, there is only like 5 questions that he ever asks the guests, and they're all like the most fucked up shit. I love that he constantly asks the guests if they're fucking atheists. So like, what are you like? Do you think there's a god? What do you think happens when you die? And then they'll start. Sometimes they'll start answering, and he just doesn't let them finish. It's great show.
Great
Fosse
show,
Verdon,
yeah.
Fosse Verdon, phenomenal show as well. I don't know. Let's see. I'm gonna give it Shaker Blue Cheese because I like the name.
Because he shakes.
Yeah, it sounds kind of jazzy. Shaker Blue.
Yeah, I am agreeing with you. That's great.
Yeah, it's sounds good.
And I love Fosse Verdon. I've always loved it. It's a great show. Tommy Kail did some great things with it. I think it drops the ball a little bit in the last episode, but overall, it's fine. It
doesn't drop the ball hard enough to bring it down too much, though.
No, but it does not live up to the standard that they set with every other episode.
They could have kicked ass even harder.
Yes, they could have. And so I am giving this a cheese from France called a bun dance, because Fosse loved to dance.
Patty loved when he danced too.
Patty, may he rest in peace. Him, Bob, Gwen.
I don't know, when is this coming out? Tomorrow?
Literally tomorrow.
Okay. Go out and fucking vote.
Yeah,
fellas.
vote. Vote or you're not allowed to be a Patreon anymore, unless you're in a different country like Mina Maniri.
Yeah. Actually, if they're having an election, you should vote there too.
Yeah.
I know this is reaching like a tiny audience, but really, if you guys can vote, you should.
Vote.
All right.
Also, November 6th, we're having another Patreon meetup. Bring your friends.
Bring your friends.
I literally did that to cue Andrew to say that. I knew what I was doing. All right, guys, that wraps up for Fosse Verdon. We'll be doing the Muppets soon. I think we might take next week off. It all depends on Andrew's schedule.
Also, fucking Halloween, guys. Happy Halloween.
Happy snappy Halloween, guys. It's tomorrow. Enjoy it. I think also today we're getting a commentary of Nightmare Before Christmas up, so enjoy that too.
Oh, you guys are getting pumped full of content.
Oh, we're pumping you full of that sounds bad.
You're getting literally stuffed with content.
Oh, baby, stuff my content up. And also, I know, like, this is a small audience, made even smaller by this being the end of, like, a 41-minute recording session.
Yes.
But for those of you old Jess World people, I have, like, not re-uploaded, I've unprivated a bunch of videos there and rebranded them to fit the Musicals with Cheese thing. So if you want to check those out, go for it. But I'm not saying that you should.
XX Jess World's returning, baby!
He's not. It's Musicals with Cheese. It has rebranded the entire channel. But if you want to see those old videos, they're there.
XX Jess World XX. And we gotta start putting some stuff up on YouTube.
I agree. I'm trying to.
Can we just ask fucking Bree to start editing out like what she thinks is maybe the best clips and we put them up on YouTube?
The thing is, and here's the biggest problem with YouTube, the way the algorithm works, you need at least 10 minutes of content or else it won't work with the algorithm.
Maybe like every 5 episodes we take the best clips from those 5 episodes, put them up in one video. Boom.
Maybe.
10 minute.
I don't think that's a bad idea. I wish we could do it with like the videos, since we are doing videos and maybe having that, but not gonna lie, those don't reach a ton of people.
I mean, we could take the video, just take the clips. Don't put the whole thing up on there, but like take clips, put the clips with the video, ba-bing, ba-boom. I think we can make it happen. Let us know if you think that's a good idea.
Yeah, or if you got some volunteer editors out there.
Hey, I mean, we're already paying an editor, and we might as well just make her do more work.
Right. Also, we have a transcriber now. From this point forward, we will have transcriptions for our episodes, which is pretty cool. If you want to read the podcast instead of listen to it.
Some people might want to do it at the same time, read and listen.
Yeah, it's funny to like have people ask, what the fuck were you saying there?
I mean, I can understand it. I think both of us
slur our words like horrible drunks.
Slur everything. And I mean, Jess is a horrible drunk. And I might be, you don't know yet.
We know it's Jess. We know him. Blackout drunk during a Patreon live stream. We know what he's like. Calls patrons stupid and our fans stupid. Or did I call them idiots? What did I call them? You were there, I wasn't.
I don't even remember what you called him. All right.
I know. All right, guys. We'll see you next time on Patreon with Cheese.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Watch something spooky.
Watch something spooky. It's okay. The second It isn't that great.
No, it's too long. Check out It. It's a good one. We've already done a lot of promoting for that movie, though.
Have we? Oh, okay.
I remember early on we had like a joke where we would constantly bring up that movie for some reason.
Well, the thing is, then the second one came out and it's like nowhere near as good.
Yeah, it was disappointing.
Did I tell you what happened with that second movie?
Oh God, another segment. Here we go. Let's go. What do you got?
So originally there was another director attached to the first It movie and did a bunch of the pre-production work and got most of the script written, and then he was kicked off. And what the fuck was his name? Andy Muschietti was brought on to direct the film and do like tiny rewrites and fix it all up. But he was working on the setup by the other director. And then It Chapter 2 was all him.
Oh.
So what worked well about that first movie, I'm willing to bet, was from that other director.
Well, I mean, it could be that the collaboration between the two of them is what really worked.
I disagree. I think a lot of the design visual choices were done by Andy Muschietti, but I wonder, because I really liked the director that originally was attached to It, and I was really excited for his version. And let me find his name so I can. Cary Fukunaga, who is a very talented director and directed the 2011 Jane Eyre and 2015's Beast of No Nation, and will be soon directing No Time to Die, which I hear is great, but we may never get to see, so we'll never know.
Yeah. Well.
So yeah, It was bad because director, not good.
It too was bad.
Yeah,
It one was
fine.
still good. Was still pretty good.
thanks to Cary Fukunaga.
Genuinely pretty creepy movie. Probably a bit too many jump scares, but it's all right.
A few too many jokes.
Yeah, but you know, it kind of set the tone decently. I mean, it's what they were going for. It is a movie about a clown, after all.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.